This is me, July 29th, 2008. It is 12:33 Mountain Time.
Welcome back to Crime and Coffee Chronicles, where the truth brews slowly and every sip reveals something darker beneath the surface. This is the haunting case of Susan Cox Powell. Her story is one of control, of secrets hidden behind closed doors, of a woman who saw the warning signs and tried to protect herself, but never got the chance. Susan Cox was bright, loving, full of life and faith. She was devoted to her two little boys, Charlie and Braden. She worked hard, stayed active in her church, and kept journals. Journals that would later reveal just how much she was struggling. In 2001, she married Josh Powell, and while their marriage began, like many others, with love and hope, it quickly deteriorated into a cycle of control, manipulation, and fear. Josh had a disturbing childhood. He had grown up in a deeply dysfunctional home with a father you'll learn more about soon. As a teen, Josh killed a pet gerbil, threatened his mother with a butcher knife, and attempted suicide. His ex-girlfriend said he was controlling, cutting her off from family, and Susan would later experience the same. Susan's journals painted a chilling picture. Josh was emotionally distant, obsessive about money, and withheld affection. He refused to attend church, ignored her needs, and constantly reminded her everything they owned was his. In private, Susan made a video, documenting her home, her belongings. She said, "If something happens to me," and in her journal she wrote, "If I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one."
This is me, July 29th, 2008. It is 12:33 Mountain Time. Covering all my bases, making sure that if something happens to me or my family or all of us, that our assets are documented. Hope everything works out and we're all happy and live happily ever after as much as that's possible. Charlie, say hi. Can you see that? 11:44 a.m. And I am documenting all our assets just in case of any emergencies, fire, flood, damage, disputes. And we have two Samsung monitors. And this is Josh's computer, and there's some type of backup device and speakers. And here's the kind of pimping out stuff he's done to his computer. He built it himself. I think there's like 5 hard drives, something about doing raids. There's those for all the computer geeks. And Josh locked this, but this is all of his files. See, locked. Those are his files. And he bought expensive stuff like these are, I think this was like a couple of $1,000s.
From early on, Susan was deeply uncomfortable around Stephen Powell. He stared too long, made crude comments, and once even tried to kiss her. She told Josh. Josh did nothing. Stephen's obsession grew. He filmed Susan secretly through vents, windows, and bathroom doors. He stole her underwear, cataloged images of her feet, her legs. In his private journals, he wrote, "Susan is beautiful. I want her. She is everything I've ever wanted in a woman. I am a voyeur, and she is an exhibitionist. We are a perfect match." I masturbated thinking about Susan to orgasmic heights.
It was probably the most erotic experience I've had in my entire life. I just hate to say it. I mean, of course, because I haven't had that many experiences, but Susan has been feeling ill. She had a cold, and I offered to rub her feet, to rub her toes, to give her some stimulation that went on. I probably rubbed her feet, her toes, her beautiful feet. She has such pretty feet. Of course, everything about her is pretty, beautiful. And I know she felt it. I mean, I know she couldn't have missed it. She's not naive either, I know from what I've read in her journals. That girl is not naive. When I started massaging her legs, I would have loved to go all the way up her legs, but I did do her calves because her feet were resting in my crotch, so I sort of rubbed her calves. She didn't seem to mind at all having me that close. I mean, I was close. I was touching her with my crotch. It's hard to remember everything I did. Man, I love that woman. She is so beautiful. I can't even get enough of her. Can't get enough of looking at her. She's so pretty.
Stephen Powell wasn't just inappropriate, he was a predator, and Susan knew she wasn't safe. On December 6, 2009, Josh claimed he took the boys camping. At midnight, in a snowstorm, with no supplies. When he returned, Susan was gone. Her purse, phone, and keys were still at home. A wet spot on the carpet, 2 fans pointed directly at it. Josh didn't search for her. He didn't notify friends. He cleaned. Police immediately suspected foul play, but without a body, they couldn't make an arrest. Josh's behavior grew more alarming. He moved the boys to Washington, refused lie detector tests, cleaned his van, cut off Susan's family. He was evaluated by forensic psychologist Dr. James Manley, who described him as very calculated, very bright, very narcissistic. Josh showed signs of adjustment disorder with narcissistic traits. He saw his sons as extensions of himself, not as individuals. He also harbored deep anger towards Susan's parents, the church, and the media, calling Chuck and Judy Cox the most dangerous people on the planet to my sons. In August 2011, nearly 2 years after Susan's mysterious disappearance, police raided Stephen Powell's home. What they found was disturbing. Thousands of voyeuristic photos and videos. Many of young girls, some of Susan. Stephen was arrested and charged with voyeurism and child pornography. His journals were so graphic, some pages were withheld in court. Still, the jury heard enough. He was convicted, served time, released in 2017, and died of natural causes in 2018. He was never charged in Susan's disappearance, but his obsession had darkened the world she lived in. On February 5, 2012, Josh Powell took one final devastating step. During a supervised visit, he locked himself and his sons inside. He did the unthinkable. He attacked Charlie and Braden with a hatchet, then set the house on fire. All 3 died. It was his last act of control, and it shocked the nation. Pure evil had been masquerading as a husband and father only to reveal his true form once and for all. Susan's body has never been found. Her parents, Chuck and Judy Cox, continue to fight. They created the Susan Cox Powell Foundation to support victims of domestic violence. And Susan's voice still echoes. In one of her last haunting recorded moments, she said, "I just hope everything works out and we're all happy and live happily ever after, as much as that's possible." At Crime and Coffee, we tell these stories to remember the victims like Susan and her children. If Susan's story moved you, share it. Speak her name and help others recognize the signs before it's too late. Let's shift from darkness to warmth for just a moment, because on Crime and Coffee Chronicles, we always close with comfort. Let it remind us of Susan, her faith, her courage, her voice. Today's coffee pairing is a comforting blend for a hard story. Vanilla cinnamon latte, soothing, gentle, the kind of cup that wraps you up like a soft blanket on a cold morning. You'll need 1 shot of espresso, or 1/2 cup of strong brewed coffee, 1 cup of milk, dairy or plant-based, 1 tablespoon of vanilla syrup, a dash of ground cinnamon, whipped cream, and a cinnamon stick for garnish. Heat your milk until steamy, then froth it using a milk frother, a whisk, or even by shaking it in a jar. In your favorite mug, pour in the espresso, add the vanilla syrup, then gently top it with your frothy milk, sprinkle a little cinnamon on top, and if you're feeling extra cozy, add whipped cream and a cinnamon stick. Take a sip, let the sweetness linger. Remember Susan and her children, beautiful souls that were taken too soon by pure evil. Until next time.